Oh, my bad. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the LuaX Academy scripting course. Today we'll be going over loops. Alright, so let's get right into it. Let's actually present this. So, what is a loop? A loop is basically code being repeated until it is commanded to stop. For example, telling the game to duplicate a part 5 times. Instead of manually having to write out every duplication, we can just put it in a loop that does this 5 times. Okay, now you may be wondering, how do we do this? I'll go over that soon. So, there are mainly two types of basic loops, right? The while loop and the FourEye loop. And here's what they are essentially. So the while loop is like this in English. While a certain condition is true, repeat the slotted code. Okay, so while a certain condition is true. Now, FourEye loop is a little bit complicated, but it's actually pretty simple once you just think of it simply. Okay, so don't take this English one too literally. The FourEye loop is like this in English. Repeat the code plus the increment until the goal of the increment is reached. Alright, now that may sound confusing, but don't stress out. I'll show you what that is soon. So let's go over what a while loop is first though. So what does a while loop look like? A while loop begins with a while, then followed by a condition, then followed by an end. Okay? While the condition is met, it will loop. So here's a few examples. So while true do's, and since true will always mean it's being met, this will run basically infinite, right? So while true do, it's gonna wait 1 second, print high, go to the end, and then loop back to this. Check the condition, and then just keep going infinitely, right? So it's gonna loop. And then we have this, right? While x is not equal to 5, and since we're incrementing x by 1 every time this thing runs, it's going to run 5 times, right? And then check, oh, x is now equal to 5, so it's going to stop because the condition is no longer met, and it's basically just going to, end, right? Now, what is important is, or make sure you always do this, always add a wait in a while loop that runs infinitely. Okay, because if you don't add a wait, it's basically going to crash your game because it's going to loop so fast that your computer can't handle it, and the game won't handle it, and it's just going to blow up. Okay, so next we have the FourEye loop. So what does a FourEye loop look like? A FourEye loop is began by a FourEye. By the way, the I can be named basically anything. Okay, it doesn't have to be named I. An example, Trooper Duper. Okay, followed by the starting number, then goal, then the increment. If the increment is left as nothing, it will default increment by 1. So here's a few examples. 4i is equal to 1, 10, 1, do. So this is 4i. We have the starting number, we have the goal, and we have the increment. Okay, so basically this loop is going to repeat 10 times because it starts at 1 and it's going up by 1 until it reaches 10 essentially. So it's going to print bruh 10 times. Alright, and then this is just so you know that it doesn't always have to be named I. Okay, now let's say we had 1 at 0.5, okay, then it would repeat 20 times because it's incrementing by 0.5, so that's basically twice as much as this, right, if this was 0.5. Now we have breaking loops. So what is breaking? Breaking a loop is when the code forcefully ends the loop without the actual loop's conditions being met. This can be done by typing break into the loop. Here's for example, local x is equal to 0, right? And then while true do, x is equal to x, so we're incrementing it by 1, and if x is equal to 5, then break it. If not, then keep continually do it, right? And since this is a while true loop, if we did not have this section, it would just infinitely repeat. Okay, but since we do have this section, it's going to stop, right, once it reaches 5. And then for this as well, you can also put breaks into FourEye loops. Alright, as long as it's a loop, you can put a break into it if you need it. And then we have stalling. Okay, so loops can also stall your script. So what is stalling? Stalling is when a script is running a loop, so it won't execute any lines below it until that loop is stopped. Stalling can be infinite if the loop you are running is also infinite. Right. Stalling isn't always a bad thing, however, as it can pause the script until necessary functions of the script is completed. Now we'll go over how this can be more useful later on. Okay, but for now, just know that just in this example, while true do. Okay, so since this is a while true do, it's infinitely running. Okay, so it will never print bruh, because the loop is essentially going to be stuck in limbo, repeating this over and over again, and never being able to, and just being stalled here, and not being able to print bruh because it's too busy doing this. Okay, and that's basically what loops are. So conclusion: what is the core concept? Loops are an easy way to repeat code and or infinitely run code until conditions are met. This can make your code more cleaner or provide a critical function in a game. Alright, example of loops being used in a game: looping a mob spawner spawn every 10 seconds. Right, because you don't know how many mobs are needed, so you don't want to manually write a mob spawner. You want to loop, let's say like spawn one mob every 10 seconds infinitely until the mob spawner is destroyed. Okay, so that's how it could be useful. Or you could loop waves until looping waves while everyone is still alive, and then once everyone is dead, you can break the loop. Alright, or you can stall a script until a condition is met. So you could do a wait, while true do wait, and then you can do an if condition equals the true, then break the script and then run whatever's below it. Okay, but that's a little bit complicated, so don't worry about that too much. So that's basically what a loop is. Alright, I hope you understood it, and that's that. Right. Next we'll be going over functions and events, and that will be very exciting, so make sure you watch out for that. Okay, I'll see you next time.